Okay, let's dive into this explainer, the limits of reason, the philosophy of understanding and trust. Have you ever wondered if the absolute greatest minds in history can actually hit a solid wall with human logic? Like, they literally reach a point where their brains just say, nope, that's it. Today, we're exploring exactly what happens when human intellect reaches its absolute edge. Is it a dead end, or just the beginning of a totally different kind of journey? Let's get right into it.
So is it weakness, or is it honesty? When a brilliant thinker suddenly stops and admits, hey, my intellect can only go so far here, the rest requires faith, we really have to ask ourselves this question. You know, our modern instinct is usually to view a lack of understanding as a massive failure. We think, right, if I just thought a little harder, or maybe read one more book, I'd magically get it. But what if admitting that your reason has limits isn't actually a sign of intellectual weakness at all? What if instead, it's a display of profound, unwavering honesty? That is the exact tension we're navigating today.
To really unpack this, we turn to Bediüzzaman Said Nursi's 10th word. Now, have you ever stared at a complex text until your eyes literally crossed, just agonizing over why you can't figure it out on the first try? Well, Bediüzzaman addresses this exact frustration when it comes to massive, complex spiritual concepts, like the concept of resurrection. He basically tells the reader, hey, don't be so hard on yourself. Don't stress out if you can't comprehend it all in one fell swoop. And to really drive his point home, he points to a historical giant, bringing us to what's known as Ibn Sina's confession.
Now, Ibn Sina, also known as Avicenna in the West, is undeniably one of history's absolute greatest philosophical and scientific geniuses, hands down. His mind shaped literally centuries of human thought and medicine, yet even he confessed, "We believe, but reason cannot walk this path." I mean, let that sink in for a second. A guy whose entire legacy is built on the sheer, unstoppable power of the human intellect, openly admitting that for profound, monumental truths, reason alone cannot always pave the way. It's a stunning admission, and it completely reframes how we should approach the unknown.
And the thing is, Ibn Sina wasn't alone in this. When it comes to a deep, universe-altering reality like resurrection, or Hushard, Islamic scholars actually share a very specific consensus. First off, they agree that this reality completely transcends simple logic. Because of that, it has to be accepted through reliable divine notification, rather than just figuring it out through mere deduction. And thirdly, they emphasize that it's just not a wide, easily walkable highway of reason. You literally cannot expect a truth of this magnitude to be an effortless stroll for the everyday intellect. Getting to the destination requires trusting a reliable guide rather than relying solely on our own cognitive maps.
But listen, reason is absolutely not being discarded here. It has a vital, irreplaceable job, evaluating the evidence and testing consistency. Think of it kind of like a car driving at night. Reason illuminates the path as far as the headlights can possibly reach, but eventually, it hits an honest boundary. And when it reaches that limit, the journey isn't over. We don't just throw our hands up and quit. Instead, comprehension is completed through faith and trust. It's not a failure of the mind. It is the intellect honestly recognizing its own borders. It's reason gracefully passing the baton over to submission.
And you know what's fascinating? This philosophical stance perfectly aligns with divine instruction. The Quran directly advises this kind of profound humility. In Surah Al-Isra, it states, "And do not pursue that of which you have no knowledge. Indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, about all those one will be questioned." It's a really powerful warning against intellectual arrogance. It reminds us not to blindly chase or stubbornly claim to fully comprehend things that are simply way beyond our capacity. Using our faculties wisely means knowing exactly when to stop pushing and when to start trusting.
So, this brings us to the core dynamic of this whole journey: understanding and trusting. These are not opposing forces fighting for dominance in our brains. They are partners in our pursuit of truth. Acknowledging the limits of our intellect, like we've seen from history's greatest scholars, is not a failure. It is a profound act of honesty. When you master that balance between what you can actively analyze and what you just have to trust, you relieve yourself of so much agonizing frustration. You basically allow understanding to take you to the door and trusting to walk you right through it.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a deeply personal question to reflect on. Is there a subject in your own life where you can honestly say, I can trust this, even if I don't fully understand it? Think about your own studies, your relationships, or your beliefs. Where exactly do you draw that line? The next time you hit a wall in your comprehension, remember Ibn Sina, because sometimes the absolute smartest thing you can do is admit that reason has done its job, and now it's time for trust. Keep exploring those boundaries,